peas. Hello. Welcome back to Lorene's Bits and Pieces. I'm Lorene and today we are back in my kitchen. Wasn't it fun having a little bit of a break in the bush going camping? I hope you had a chance to try out the s'mores Aussie styles. So today we're back into another family favourite from my family when we were doing a lot of horse riding events and things like that. We have to go out and kind of like camping, but not quite glamping, because we would use a tent and we would use the horse float and horse truck to camp in after the horses have gotten out, obviously. But this family favourite was one that us kids always used to love to dig into, and often my grandmother would be the one to make it. So today what we are making is, as you probably saw from the title, is bacon and egg pie. So without further ado, let's get going. Okay, so before we get started too far, here we have our puff pastry sheets that we have here in Australia. I know we have them in New Zealand. I'm sure you probably have them in other parts of the world too. And these are frozen, and they come out with these beautiful little glue separators. So when you want to use some of this, you don't actually have to take the whole lot out, and you don't have to defrost the whole lot. I'll show you a little handy hint, a trick that we need to do now before we do anything else. So you see how there is the little blue liner in between the front one and the next one. What you do is you pull it gently towards yourself, and you'll see that the layers start to come apart. Okay, just really gently. Make sure you haven't got any of the plastic wrapping in the way. And all you need to do is just get it so that it is come free. And then you can take that one. Sometimes you need to get it so that the plastic will come free completely. Slide the finger down there. Make that little crack. I don't know if you heard that, but there we go. There we go. And that's all you have to do. So we need to take out 2 of those now before we start doing anything else. You see they're pretty solid, and you can just, there we go. So we'll take that front one and that one. Beautiful. And the only reason why I'm keeping the plastic on there is to make it a little bit easier to manage later after it's defrosted. Okay, so just take those out, put them off to the side, and then while we're waiting for the oven to heat up and doing all our veggie prep and everything, putting everything together, this will just slowly defrost. You can even do this step like half an hour to an hour before you actually need it. Okay guys, here's a different way of showing you what we will be needing for today as far as ingredients. So over here we have our puff pastry, our sheets of puff pastry that you find in the freezer department. We'll need some frozen mixed vegetables, we'll need some eggs, we need some bacon, onion, barbecue sauce, and some tasty cheese. The quantities I will give you as we go through. The other things that we will need are some baking paper and a pie dish. So first of all, what we're going to do is pull out enough baking paper to cover the bottom only of the pie dish. You can do the cool trick of like folding it in half like this and folding it in half again. And then you fold it, again. A little bit of origami for your day. And if we recall, it was around about there. Oh my goodness. Okay. Then we get our scissors. Maybe we'll fold it just one more time. So just double check that. Yep, about there. Okay, and then you just chop it straight across. Okay, and that then gives you the bottom of your liner. Okay, so that's actually not that complicated. I was making it seem harder than what it needed to be. Okay, and it doesn't need to go all the way up the sides or anything like that. I'm using a non-stick pan, so that means and with this on the bottom, I don't need to oil it or anything. I found that I don't need to do that with this. And as you've already seen with the pastry, I've had that out for a little while now, and look, it's all floppy. So one other thing to note that we've already done is we've got the oven on at 200 degrees Celsius. Okay, so what we do with this, and the reason why I've still got it on the plastic here, is so that I can fold it over like this. I can muck around with it a little bit, and the plastic seems to give it a bit of support. Okay, so you press that down into the pie dish. Now, if you don't have a specific pie dish like this one, you can use things like this or this, which are casserole dishes, and I actually have a feeling this is a really shallow pie dish that you can use if you wanted to. I have also been known to use a pie dish, the lid of a casserole dish as a pie dish. So you just got to use what you've got around. If you've got a proper cake tin, use a cake tin if that's the only thing you've got. You don't have to be restricted to this kind of container, okay? Pies are very, very forgiving. My only suggestion with it is that you make sure that it's oven proof. Okay, so that would be my only little suggestion there, is just make sure it's oven proof. Okay, so you just go around and just gently push that into the corners, and as you can see, because the plastic's there, I'm getting nothing on my fingers. Yay! As much as I love being a messy cook and I love squishing stuff, you know, there's times it's not necessary. Okay, so now we can pull this off. We get our little knife and we trim these edges, and don't need to be too fancy here. Just slice it off. They won't go to waste, don't worry, because we'll need them again in a moment. So you see how sometimes you end up with these gaps over here. What you can do is you can use these little bits and you just squish them in like that. Okay, just sort of smooth it out a little bit. This one's a little one, so I might just pop him up over here. Nice thing about working with this pastry is it's pretty forgiving on your hands anyway. This is a bit of a bigger one, so we'll pop him over here. This one, it's not really needed. That's alright, don't worry, we have a plan for this one. So I'll pop him just there for the moment. Alright, so there's the dish started, okay? Next we're going to be adding our ingredients to this. So there's 1 cup of frozen mixed vegetables. Pop that in there. Just make sure we've got those lumps and bumps broken up. Those big, huge, chunky bits of the frozen veg, just break them up a bit. We've got our onion that we need to chop up finely. So this is another technique that we haven't really talked about in cutting onions, is leaving the root part on and just cutting almost up to the root, but not quite all the way through. So I use this technique when I want to do a finer dice and I don't want my onions to go all over the place. Okay, and then we can see, you can see how it's sort of holding itself together. So what we can do now is just gently do that, and you see how it's coming off in a really nice fine dice. Next we have our bacon. Alright, so this bacon is about 200 grams and it's rindless. I prefer a rindless bacon in my pies and things simply because it makes it easier to cut, but also it's not so chewy when people are trying to eat it. So just chop those into slices. You can have big slices, little slices, it's totally up to you. I like it so that I get a bit of bacon in every single bite. Now I have been known to cut bacon up with scissors. Have you ever done that? I certainly have. Alrighty, lovely cutting skills. Then we just mix it up a little bit, break up those slices between them, otherwise you'll get big huge chunks of bacon, which is not a bad thing. But we do want it to spread out a little bit. Alright, pop that in the dish as well.
Bird on a tree. I'm just sitting here.
Okay, so of course I had to wash the chopping board and my knife before moving on. Yay. So right, this is why I normally use the blue chopping board to do things like the onions and the bacon, but oh well. Now you don't have to do the cheese step if you don't want to, it's just a nice little treat. Oh goodness. Let's get this out, and I'm gonna chop off this much. Alrighty, so now we chop up this cheese into around about 1 centimeter blocks, just like that. Pop those aside for just a moment. Next we're going to grab our eggs, 6 eggs, and pop them all in here. Personally, I don't like biting into a bacon and egg pie and having a big huge wodge of yolk. So what I like to do with my bacon and egg pies is I like to mix the eggs and the yolks through, but I don't need it to be beaten or like the eggs to be beaten or anything like that. Just gently mix through so that it breaks up those yolks. There's plenty. You see, as we do that, we're also mixing all of those other ingredients together at the same time, so it becomes a really quick and easy, simple recipe that can taste absolutely delicious. Alright, next we're going to put a bit of salt and pepper onto this. Next we'll use the cheese, we'll just dot the cheese on there. except for that piece that just ran away. Obviously didn't want to be part of the pie today. That's fine. Alright. And next, what we are going to do is we're going to add a little bit of thyme. Okay, so maybe half a teaspoon to a teaspoon. Just sprinkle that over the top. Beautiful. And the piece de resistance, the barbecue sauce. And what we do with the barbecue sauce is we just go swish, 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 swish. Make sure we got a bit around the edge. And beautiful, done. Next we'll grab that other sheet of pastry, pop it straight over the top, and you'll see the blue plastic is still on there. And just once again, gently press down. And you'll see that the filling wasn't all the way to the top. And that was for a jolly good reason, because if you go all the way to the top, you're going to have a big old mess in your oven. Because if anybody's cooked eggs, they know that they expand a little bit. And we don't want that in the oven, because that's a hard mess to clean up, that one. Okay, now we take off that plastic, trim off those edges. Save that, because we can use that later for cook's treat. Okay, and now to make this look a little bit fancier, what you do is you get your wee fork, and what you do is you just crimp these edges together. Okay, and what that does is helps to form a good bond between the two layers of pastry, to stop those fillings from coming out. And it also just makes it look a little bit nicer. You do this with all your pies and everybody will think you're a super fancy cook. And final step is you stab the top several times, just to let any steam escape. We need some milk to be brushed over the top. Go. It's maybe about, I don't know, a teaspoon or so of milk. Just to go over the top there, push it up over those edges so that they don't cook too fast, or maybe cook just fast enough. Then I'll get this lovely crispy goldenness to it. A little bit much milk today. No, we're just perfect. Look at that. Beautiful. Alright, now that will go into the oven for about 30 to 40 minutes. Check it after 30 minutes, see where it's at. If it looks cooked enough, like nice and flaky and brown and golden on the outside, then pull it out. But other than that, just keep an eye on it for every 2 to 3 minutes after that, up until 40 minutes. And then you'll have an absolutely delicious pie. Alright, so here we have cook's treat, which is basically all those bits of, I'm sorry, it didn't record it, but all those bits of pastry that we just had, we squished them all together. Here we go, I'll open it up so you can see. Oh, there we go. So we squished it all together and rolled it out with the rolling pin. Then we got about 6 frozen raspberries. We've got 1 teaspoon of strawberry jam. Put the strawberry jam on top of the raspberries. And then we've just pinched it all together like this. Okay. You can actually leave it flat if you want, because it is puff pastry, so it does go at the edges, which is quite fun too. Then what we'll do is we'll be popping this into the oven for about 10 to 12 minutes, okay, and just letting all of that yumminess inside just all mush together, and this outside puff part will go poof, and it will just be absolutely yummy scrummy. Alright guys, here's an interesting problem we have. Let's have a look. We've still got 9 minutes left on the timer, but if we look at the pie, she's looking pretty damn spiffy. I've had the cook's treat in here for about 12 minutes now, and it's not quite cooked yet. So, and I'm sensing you all go, oh my god, you're letting all the heat out. So we're going to leave that one in for about maybe 2 or 3 more minutes and see how we go with the cook's treat, and then we'll probably pull this one out at the same time, okay? Alright my beautiful friends, here we go. Look at that beautiful pie. And behind it is cook's treat, still bubbling away, doing its thing. Now you'll notice that I didn't brush the top of cook's treat with milk, and this could be why it's not cooking quite the same as this. But that's okay. Things we learn. I know when I did cook's treat earlier in the week, when I tested out this recipe, and I did brush it with the milk, so there we go. That's a lesson learned. Alright, now let's get this up safely, because I don't want to burn myself, and have a look. Alright, as you can see, this beautiful pie has pulled out from the sides. I hope you can see that anyway. So that's why I didn't also worry about buttering or greasing the edges of the pan, because I knew that that was going to pull in together, so I was all good with that. Now how do we get it out of here so that we can eat it? Well, little trick here. Put a little plate on the top, because at the moment everything's still very, very hot. Nice clean tea towel, and we'll flip it over this way. Yep, that pan's cooled down enough for me to handle it. And look at that. Ah, beautiful. Pull that off. Oh my goodness, doesn't that look delicious? We pop this plate this way and flip it back over. Here we go. Ta-da! We have our pie. Lovely! How does it get any better? Oh my goodness. Now, if you're not quite so much of an eager beaver, you can actually just leave it sitting in the pie dish for a few more minutes to let it cool down a little bit more, and then you don't have to do the plate on the top part. You could just use the clean tea towel and just flip it over and flip it back. But wow, didn't that look fancy? Alright, you ready? Let's cut into this. Oh, that sounds good. Just a nice little ASMR. Let's take a nice big slice here. So go all the way through. Oh yes. Oh. Oh. You ready? You ready? Here we go. Oh my word, doesn't that look amazing? Whoa. Alright, let me pop that on the plate. There we go. Yummy, yummy, yummy cook's treat. It's funny because if you look really closely, you can see maybe that the middle is actually puffed up. How funny is that? We'll get to try that a little bit later. I don't know why I'm whispering. It just kind of feels like I should. It's like it's a little treat that nobody else needs to know about. So obviously, if we wanted this to cook a little bit quicker, we needed to put some, brush it with the milk on the edges here. But that's okay. It still looks amazing. I just needed to cook it for a bit longer is all. No worries. You just keep cooking it until it looks nice and yummy. Alrighty, my friends, here we go. Here is this absolutely gorgeous bacon and egg pie. You can have this hot, you can have it cold. There is some absolutely yummy, scrummy, cheesy goodness in there. There is, oh, so much yummy. Oh my God, yes. Oh, wow. Holy moly. That tastes absolutely phenomenal. I just got hit with the so many flavors all at once. The cheese and the bacon and the egg and the, not necessarily in that order. Then there was the barbecue sauce that came through. There was plenty of seasoning in there, like just the right amount of like balance between salt and sweet, and oh wow, this was great. I'm just, oh my goodness. Right now I'm really struggling not to get back into this, and I just really desire to finish my conversation with you so I can. Cook's treat is over there, and I'll be having that with my cup of tea later. Oh wow, holy moly, isn't that amazing? Oh my word. So wow. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy this one. Give it a go. You can be as flexible as you like. If you don't like peas, then don't put them in there. Don't, like, just whatever mixed vegetables you like, pop them in there, and mwah, and this will keep for several days in the fridge if you don't eat it first. Have an absolutely wonderful day, my friends. Be bold, be brave, be you, and I would be so grateful if you could subscribe up here, watch another video over here, and I will see you on the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Mwah. Shh, Cook's treat. How does it get any better than that?